looking like a first rounder. We had 2 go in the first round, both of which I thought were, in Lageman's case, a 1-round reach, and DeLong's about a 3- or 4-round reach, which is rare for the 49ers. If they're in a position where they're going to draft a player like a DeLong, they usually move down, which they didn't do in this case, which really surprised me.
Well, Bill Walsh, of course, not the head coach, but certainly very active in that decision. Chicago had those 3 selections coming into this round, but they utilized 2 of them. Donnell Woodford, Trace Armstrong with their selections, both on defense. Let's check in now at Bears headquarters with Pete Axtell. Pete?
Back in Lake Forest with Mike Ditka, and Mike, you got 2 solid defensive picks, but with everything that's happened today, you could have taken Godzilla, and it wouldn't overshadow the rumors we've listened this morning about McMahon. What's the story?
Well, basically, that's more than, they were rumors, but there were discussions that went on with San Diego. And of course, like in everything else, if one team wants an orchard for an apple tree, it's not going to work. But, you know, our whole ambition, Pete, and to be honest with you, is to keep this football team as positive mentally and physically as we can and put the right people into the program. And we've tried to do that, and we're going to continue to try to do that. And people who don't want to be part of our program will be part of another program. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter who it is anymore. You know, people think that's cold and calculating, but it's a part of life. It's a fact of life. We love the people who play for us. We love the people more who want to play for us, even than those who do. I said that they really want to. So that's always been important with the Bears, and that'll always continue to be important. So if we make a trade or we make a change in our football team, the whole 45, 47 players are what's concerned, and not just the one individual.
I have heard in the month leading up to the draft, several executives around the league have told me that they've been under the impression McMahon has been shopped, that you were looking for a deal. Is that accurate?
Well, anybody who's called us about him, we've talked to him. That's all that's ever happened. We have never initiated the trade. We have never gone out and said, hey, we have a guy that will trade you, and we have never done that. The other teams that were involved, in this case San Diego, came to us. Now, regardless if they want to say that, that's their business, but they did, and that's where we're at with the situation right now.
Of course, we've all chronicled the story of Tom Zach and the difficulties he's overcome in terms of confidence and so forth. Is this going to shake his confidence to hear that there's questions about who's going to be quarterback?
No, let me tell you something. You know, the only thing Mike's overcome is you know, he's had a little problem sometimes in dealing with the way I handle him, but that's not necessarily Mike's fault. That could be my fault more than anybody's. But I think the thing about Mike, I think this excites him even more. I think it excites Jim Harbaugh even more. I think that those guys thrive on competition. You know, the great people in life, Pete, you thrive on competition. It means something to you. Anybody that doesn't want to compete shouldn't play.
Okay. Who is going to play next year? Is there any way we can predict right now?
Well, right now we're going into camp, and we said if we go into camp with the 3 quarterbacks we have on our roster, we'll look at the first 2 objectively, which will be Mike Tomczak and Jim McMahon, and then Jim Harbaugh will fit in where he fits in. I think right now he's going in the coach's eyes as the backup to whoever is the starter, but that doesn't mean it'll come out that way. Knowing what I know about Jim Harbaugh, he's liable to make a pretty good run at everything. So I just don't feel like a lot of people in the media has done to us. You know, we've been pumped up as being a one-dimensional football team that we can only win with 1 quarterback on the field. Well, we've also lost with that 1 quarterback on the field in crucial games. So, you know, Mike Tomczak's record as a football player is very good. Jim Harbaugh's is 500. He's 1-1. So, you know, I got, you know, what can I tell you? If he plays 10, maybe he'll be 9-1. I don't know.
To get to the matter of the day, the defensive players you got in the first round, can they start for you?
I think they both can start for us, and I'm not going to say that they will start for us, but I think they both can. I think they come in, and right now they can come in and they can line up and compete equally with the people we have, especially at the left corner right now. We have a young kid that we're going to have to play out there. Richardson is no longer with us, so Donnell's going to have a great chance. Trace is, he's our kind of player. To me, he's a young Dan Hampton, and anytime I mention Dan Hampton's name, I love it, because he's our kind of football player. This kid will give us a chance.
A final thought, I'm sure many viewers would like an update. How's your health? Heart attack and...
Took a stress test Friday, and the doctor said I still have a heart, which probably surprised a lot of you people. But no, I'm doing fine. I feel very good, and everything's been great. Golf lousy, but I'm doing okay.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mike.
you, Pete.
Okay, that certainly is good news that Mike's feeling well, but he laid it out. It's the Bear way or it's the highway, and he said San Diego came to the Bears about the possibility of McMahon. They have built their team any number of which ways. I mean, they've had a free agent and the Pro Bowler in Jay Hilgenberg, so yeah, they can put it together different ways, but it's wide open at the top of the depth chart going to training camp at Lake Forest. As far as who is going to be the starting quarterback, and Jim McMahon may not like that.
Well, still isn't. Mike Tomczak obviously has the inside track on that quarterback position, but if you look at who they drafted, he mentioned Armstrong, his kind of player, and you look at a guy like Wolford, a guy who has a 4-year starter at Clemson, has a good chance to come in right away and contribute at the pro level, also has that punt return ability that we talked about. So he's getting 2 impact defensive players in Armstrong and Wolford. They're going to come right in and be starters, and he moves down and picks up additional choices. So I think the Bears had a good idea what was out there and knew how to handle this draft in particular.
It's a little taste of the middle of the winter with a quarterback controversy here in late April. And don't forget, the Bears will pick again by virtue of their trade with Miami. They will be up in the 8 hole here in the second round, the 36th selection overall. But some square talking, some straight shooting, Chris Berman, from head coach Mike Ditka, who's in good health and in rare form.
I think, Bobby, that we have a scoop when Mike Ditka doesn't shoot from the hip and doesn't give you some straight talking. The one thing that we've grown to love about Mike and many things is that he says what he means, and you can respect anybody that says that. And so saying what he means, Tommy and Joe, means that he's just sick and tired of a lot of the back and forth. He just wants to play football, and i.e. Jim McMahon. He may not be in San Diego, but he may be somewhere else anyway.
Well, I think Mike certainly says what he means, and the indication has been for a year that I think he would like to see Tomczak in the lineup. Tomczak came along. I think McMahon has created this situation in Chicago where Mike feels he's like a disruptive force for the other 45 guys on the squad. That will not be the case when they open up the season in September.
Is that a fair assessment, Joe, that McMahon has disrupted the rest of the team?
I got to believe that I think they're so used to what Jimmy has done. I don't think he's disrupted that football team, truthfully. I think what's happened is the trade rumors were initiated by Zucker and by McMahon. It's a perfect day to do it. This is the perfect day to let the world know that Jimmy McMahon is shopping. And you go to a football team like San Diego that has really big holes at their quarterback situation. The thing I think that's hurt Jim McMahon throughout his career is his inconsistency of being able to stay on the football field and help his football team. That is the one thing that I've been critical of as far as an analyst, and even when I played against him. He's tough when he's out there, but the fact is he just wasn't out there enough to really have his teammates look at him and say, hey, no matter what, he's going to be there. So I really think that Jim McMahon has sort of created his own situation. Where his future is right now is going to be very questionable because he's going to have to go to camp this year and feel like, well, am I really going to have a legitimate shot at the #1 position now? I mean, that's got to be the biggest question in his mind, as well as his agents. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a deal made going out through the summer, but I don't think anything will happen through this particular draft day.
No, it doesn't sound like today, and he will have a shot because, as Mike Ditka told Pete, he does indeed have a heart, and we knew that all along, and that was good news to hear from Mike. Dallas, by the way, has started off the second round. They've made their selection, and they've got a good value for this pick. Steve Wisniewski, guard from Penn State, as the first selection of the second round. That goes to the Dallas Cowboys. So Troy Aikman now immediately has someone to block for him if he breaks into the starting lineup. The second pick in the second round is owned by Detroit. They had the 3rd overall pick of the draft. And with the first round selection of theirs, they chose the Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma State, Barry Sanders. And our Dan Patrick has been with Barry Sanders out in Wichita, Kansas all day long. He visited with Barry after he was chosen by the Lions.
Back here in Wichita, and we're finding out Barry Sanders is just as elusive off the field as he is on the field. We finally tracked him down after a couple of hours. We had sightings of you going to church. We had sightings of you going to the airport to go to Detroit. Where have you been?
I've been at home watching the draft. First, I watched the first 10 selections. Then I did a little press conference over the phone with the Detroit media and talked to a few reporters here.
Certainly is good news that Mike's feeling well, but he laid it out. It's the Bear way or it's the highway, and he said San Diego came to the Bears about the possibility of McMahon. They have built their team any number of which ways. I mean, they've had a free agent and the Pro Bowler in Jay Hilgenberg, so yeah, they can put it together different ways, but it's wide open at the top of the depth chart going to training camp at Lake Forest. as far as who is going to be the starting quarterback, and Jim McMahon may not like that.
Well, still isn't. Mike Tomczak obviously has the inside track on that quarterback position, but if you look at who they drafted, he mentioned Armstrong, his kind of player, and you look at a guy like Wolford, a guy who has a 4-year starter at Clemson, has a good chance to come in right away and contribute at the pro level, also has that punt return ability that we talked about, so he's getting 2